And we are absolutely, totally tubular today. Chrissy Nelson, Dr. Chrissy Nelson in the house. Non-doctor Jeremiah Yancey in the house. I'm not a doctor. I could have been a doctor, but I don't think they give doctorates for those types of things.
Hey, I consider you to be an honorary doctor. You're a doctor in what you do. You're a marketing guru, remember? Per our friend Brian Simmons, you are Dr. Jeremiah Yancey. You own that. Yeah. Hey, no, that was your violin, and I'm just coming in with a wrecking ball to break it down.
On that note, I would be a terrible violinist. Can you imagine me just sitting there no. Drummer, come on. No. Yeah, we could do that. Absolutely. How about you? Are you no, wait, we've done that. We've been there. We've tried the air drums with Dr. Nell. See, I just proved my whole point. I say drums, she does this. This, by the way, is piano. All of you that are watching right now, this is piano. This is violin, and these are drums. Okay, anyway, that's all right. That's all fine. That's good. Clearly, you did not have enough brothers, and that's okay. That's just fine.
0, yeah.
0 brothers. Well, hey, how is everybody out there in Unlocking Your Book land? How is everybody doing out there? Hope you're having a splendid, what's today? Today's Wednesday, as a matter of fact. Yay, hallelujah. Hey, I'm looking at my clock. It says 1, 2, 3, 4, meaning it's 12:34. You know what we're going to do today?
What are we going to do today?
We're going to unlock some folks. That's what this Unlocking You Live is all about. This is an opportunity for people like you. We've got 2 very special guests that are going to be coming on. We've got Linda in the house and Peter in the house. They are both Unlocking Your Book members. But you do not have to be an Unlocking Your Book member to come on Unlocking You Live and to pitch your book. We would love to help you. And you can simply send an email to Liz, that's capital L-I-Z, at unlockingyourbook.com. She's also here with us. She's engaging with you, so you can connect with her. Send her an email and let her know in 150 words or less what your 10-minute question or 10-minute book pitch would be to us, and we would love to get you on the show. So that's what this is all about. This is about not just education, but this is about connecting. It's about the relationship, us connecting with you, listening to a little bit of a backstory of your book. But you get to come on. You get this 10-minute window. We give you a 10-minute block of time to come on and pitch your book. You're welcome to share a little bit of your story and maybe even testify or ask a question. Even the hard questions we're here to answer those questions as well. And we want to spend that 10-minute block with you, just really discovering, unpacking, unlocking, digging, figuring out, and listening to your heart, your vision, and helping you navigate maybe potentially some next steps. And it's all done live. We like it live because there's risk. There's risk involved. Yeah. We like the risk. The risk is good. Risk is good. So before we're going to have Linda. Linda's going to be coming on in just a couple of minutes. A couple of minutes around here means a couple of minutes. And so before we do that, we want to just welcome some of our really awesome people that are watching with us today. Thanks so much for being here. Please take a moment and share this episode, share this Facebook Live. Now, what's going on in your neck of the woods, Dr. Nelson?
Oh, navigating the children being with me, the whole crew, homeschooling from home and problem solving, that's, much like most of the country and the world, we've got our families close and we're navigating. So it's fun. It's interesting, cool. An adventure, right?
It's an adventure. It's an adventure. And, fortunately, I'm a little bit ahead of that game because I already did it. I mean, like my kid, not all my kids, because we had like 43 children, but most of my kids are, kind of grown up. I've got one that's a senior this year. She's graduating. And then I got one more little teeny one who's a teenager at home. And then, they're adults. So it's awesome. Things are starting to make sense. And what's really cool about raising kids? It's really, really fun is, when they're little, like they can't survive and live without you. And then as they get older, it's fun because they actually become it's like your best friends, and you really get to spend quality time with them. When they're little, I mean, you're changing diapers, you're picking up, you're instructing, you're discipling, you're raising them in the way of the Lord. And then as they get older, you get to have deep and meaningful conversations that don't include fistfuls of sand.
That sounds amazing. I look forward to those days. My kids, fortunately, I try to look at it with the glass half full perspective. They love to be with mommy. Love, love, love every second they're with me. And yeah, it's good. It's so good.
Yeah. I tell my kids all the time, I say, thank you so much. I didn't raise you, you raised me. It's the reality. It's
well,
the truth.
This is so true. They really do. It's amazing how much we learn about ourselves, how much we grow.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
I wouldn't be half the dad without them. So praise the Lord Jesus. Okay, let's get right to it real fast, real quick. Just once again, welcome to Unlocking You Live. We do this show Tuesday through Thursday. Occasionally we have a published author that will come on the show, but Tuesday through Thursday, you can get a block in, a 10-minute opportunity, a 10-minute window to come in and pitch your book or ask a question specific to writing, being a published author, your marketing, your story, your structure. And our job and our desire and our heart is to help you unlock some things that maybe possibly you're not seeing. So really cool. Oh, I want to say this, man, we are up to 35 right now, 35 publishing contracts. So since we began in November, we've got 35 publishing contracts. And it's such an amazing, it's really a privilege, and it feels so amazing to be able to help that many people. So let me just, see, Linda, remember when I said, what, 2 minutes? Okay, I'm so sorry. So this is what it's like at our dinner table. But anyway, so let me just put things into perspective. For those of you that have, you have felt the rejection of a publisher before, or you tried to self-publish, I want to encourage you to dream again. I want to encourage you to pick it back up again. Like maybe you sent your manuscript and you didn't hear anything back, or maybe, there was too many things that needed to be fixed. Can I encourage you to pick up that dream again and go to our website, connect with us on Facebook, learn a little bit about what we do at Unlocking Your Book. Let me encourage you, even if you tried self-publishing, even if you tried traditional publishing and it didn't work out, I'm not going to use the word fail. It didn't quite work out the way that you imagine. I want to encourage you to give Unlocking Your Book an opportunity to show you that things can be different. And it's not that we have figured all of this out. It's just that we really believe in positioning and empowering you. And God has given us some keys, and we can help you. We can help you unlock that book, write that book, publish that book, and market that book. So give it a shot. Go to unlockingyourbook.com. Check us out. We can get you published, and we can help you along this journey. You do not have to do it alone. And this is the last time I'm going to say today, Linda, get ready to come on, because here it comes. But we want you to dream again. And we're going to have Linda come on here in the next 10 seconds. I'm getting really serious with Linda. Here we go. Rock and roll. Bam. We finally did it. Linda, you're finally here. How are you?
Hey, Linda.
I'm great. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can hear you just fine. Great background. You got the flowers. You got the greenery. There's hold on. You're muted. Just a second. Let's hold on. Technical difficulty. Unmute yourself, Linda, on your end. There's an unmute button on your end. There you go. Woohoo! Rock and roll. All right, let's. So how is Linda?
I'm good. There's a little bit of a drag, so you're hiccuping a little bit, but I'm doing great. I'm prepared this time. Last time I didn't anticipate getting it, so I wasn't prepared. But I have note cards this time, so to keep it nice and clean. So I've done my homework, Jeremiah.
Well, let's get right to it. How can we help?
I've done my homework.
What's your question?
Okay. Well, I'm going to use analogy because that's my language. So I have a 4-lane highway, and one of them's a breakdown lane, just so you know. I get there sometimes. But I have a novel, I have an allegory, and I have a inspirational thing, whatever I want to call it. So what I want to know, because I haven't pulled the trigger on Facebook yet, because I don't know how to market myself. You have approved the novel, which I'm super stoked for. It's the coolest journey I'm going on with that. I would call it a young adult fantasy, a little bit like Narnia. And then the allegory I can use as my ebook called The Lot, where I'm given a lot, a key, a sword, and a helper. And that's about 10,000 words, maybe a little bit less. If I eliminate the questions, it can be about 7,000 words. And then the tiers are like our marketing dream, because that's easy to splinter. You know, there's a command every time a tier is spoken. God makes tiers his business. And there's a command spoken, and it's really easy to splinter those. And I can put any one of the worlds I go into in a tier, be it hope, fear, despair, betrayal. You know, basically this is God just said, jump into a tier. And I think I posted one. I believe both of you read it. So very similar to that. And so that's all I'm going to say. I mean, I can give you the characters in my novel if you like. There's a King Mountain, land of shadows, a village of betwixt, and a prison.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So, Linda, talk to me.
The main character becomes an owl.
I've seen the tiers a little bit, and then I hear you talking about that, and I'm really intrigued. So it sounds like the tier is it's a pain point, it's an emotion, it's something that is kind of defining the character, at least at that particular point. And then correct me if I'm wrong, the tier is something that you kind of draw out of the character, draw out of the story, and then use that to apply to the reader. So can you just talk a little bit about the tier and how God gave that to you, and really what you're hoping to accomplish with the tier?
Okay. I have word pictures. I have little trailers in my head. God gives me little trailers, okay, little movie trailers. And so basically he said, jump into a tier. And I have several tiers that he had me jump into. One is a circus tent when I jump in. One is fear, where I'm inside a closet and he catches my tears and then become fireflies. The one I posted was a tier of pain. And I go through the tier, and there's ashes and there's fire, and there's been fire and there's been devastation. But once I get to the other side of tier, there's hope. I look through the watery lens of the tier, and I want to live on that side of the world again. So, and I see it as a marketing dream, because you can do tiers for teens. Mm-hmm. You can do tears for tots. I mean, there are tears that teens cry. Whether they're happy or sad, they're not all painful. All tears are not painful. They can be full of champagne and bubbles. So that's what I see as a marketing dream. But I'm in the middle of the novel, which is fantastic. It's the one that you approved to publish. And I love that one. I write 1,000, 2,000 words a day. The other ones, I might, this is where the lanes come in, because I jump from one lane to another. I don't just focus on one. If I have an idea, I can jump to a different lane. Sometimes I end up in the breakdown lane, not gonna lie. But basically my question is, first of all, do I resubmit for The Lot, which is going to be an ebook eventually published, my goal? Do I resubmit? Do you give me another form to submit that one? Or do I just throw it through as an ebook? And do I market the novel, or do I just start marketing? That's my question. What do I start marketing? on Facebook. That's why I haven't pulled the trigger.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, so I can answer that, and as I answer that, I'm a structure guy, right? I like a lot. I like to plan. I like to have structure, and with being a marketing person, like if you don't have a plan and you don't have structure, then you're just always shooting from the hip, and that can work. And there's a lot of authenticity, and you can have a lot of fun, because I like that too. I like the authenticity and the fun. But what the structure does is the structure actually gives us that roadmap, that blueprint, and then as we can make changes as we go along. So as you, Linda, hear my answer to this, and then others that are watching and listening to this as well, I'm going to give you a structured answer that is based on my experience, but then also based on the way that I work individually with clients, because I have individual clientele as well that I help them with this particular process. And it's very, very structured. So for people that are maybe a little bit more creative and have that bend, sometimes that structure can kind of like tilt them a little bit. And that structure is meant to give them some framework. It's not meant to control the process or to control the creativity. So as your publisher and as a mentor, this is what I would say, is I would say laser focus and do one thing really, really well right now. And here's the reason why, because it's difficult, especially in the beginning, to have multiple writing focuses in place. Some people can do it, but some people can't. Some people can like ghostwriters, right? They have developed a system where they can be writing multiple types of work simultaneously, and they can move in and out of those. And that is their skill set. Now, I particularly don't like that for whether they're a new writer or even a veteran writer. I don't really like that process. I think you are much better with your time, more proficient, more efficient with your resources, your energy, your day, and really even your creativity to exhaust one thing really, really well. Because here's what happens is in that process, as you are laser focusing on one writing project, even if it's as simple as, okay, I'm speaking semi hypothetically here. If I'm just going to focus on the ebook for a while, rather than writing this, writing that, doing this, doing that, I'm going to laser focus on the content of the ebook so that I can exhaust it. Because here's what happens. The laser focus actually unlocks the next step. It actually unlocks the marketing. It unlocks the next book. It unlocks even the scalability and the monetization of the ultimate message. So traditionally, there's like this thing out there, this pressure that is not a good pressure. It's not a healthy pressure to have all of these things going. And I understand that because I coach people. I'm a mentor. I'm in marketing and agency. We've got lots of different things going on, and we pitch lots of different ideas to people. And so sometimes you can feel like I've got to have all of these things going. And the reality is it's better to have 1, 2, or 3 things that you're doing really, really, really well that you can scale and monetize those particular things. So if you take the ebook or you take the novel and and then you take another idea, and then you take a devotional, and then you've got this other thing, and all of a sudden what happens is you're only able to give so much of yourself, even if you're really, really creative or really, really skilled or really, really talented. So my recommendation would be finish the first one and then move on to the next. And then actually, as you are going through the process of, because, even though the novel has been approved, there's still work to be done. Like you have to create and splinter the content. You have to create some kind of a marketing plan using the social media planner, the roadmap, all of these different types of things, being able to invest in the list building, and then also getting your message out there, whether you're using Facebook Live or whatever the social media strategy is. And that takes time and energy. So that would be my recommendation, is to focus, laser focus on one thing really, really well. And not to perfection, but to completion. And here's what will happen. As you complete that, there will be chrysalises and crossroads and encounters that you have in that process that are going to become aha moments that will unlock something that you will put in your little idea bank. You'll be like, oh, that's awesome. But the challenge for somebody who's very creative is to, when you have the ideas, to go do it. That's the challenge. And instead of going and doing it, put it in your bank and go like, I'm going to come back to that. I'm going to pray about it. I'm going to sit before the Lord. I'm going to think about it. But don't take action yet. Stay in the lane and stay on the highway and stay in the place until you have exhausted that project. Finish building what you started, because you will be so happy with the process. Even high-level producers, okay, type A personalities, they're very high producing. They can handle and manage a lot of things. They have to learn to create these lanes that they can stay in and exhaust those things. And even though they look like they're doing all this stuff, the reality is that they have learned how to create blocks and then either put those things into a place that they'll come back to it later, or they have trained and they have delegated other people. So that would be my recommendation, is to stay on the path that you're on right now, exhaust it, and have a ton of fun. Get super creative with just that one process. And then as soon as it comes to completion, it's published, it's shipping, yada, yada. Actually, even before then, you would actually start to revisit some of those other things and then move into the next step, because those next steps are going to get clear because you finished the first one. That's my 2.5 cents.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. Which makes a lot of sense, but because they're different lanes, I'm wondering if I'm going to introduce myself as a certain type of writer, and then when I go into a different lane, if that's going to create a complication. Does that make sense? Like, say I write the novel first, I do the allegory first, then I'm going to be known as that person. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it totally makes sense.
No.
So, Linda, and here's why. Because the brand, what's the name of your book again? The novel.
I don't have which one? The novel? Owl Kingdom.
Okay, so
it's not a great name. I think there's a better name. I just wait on it.
That's okay. Don't worry about that. You don't brand the novel. You don't brand the ebook. You don't brand the series. You brand the Linda, right? So what has to happen is, see, you are the brand. You're the brand messenger. You're the brand advocate. And, that's like a marketing terminology, but it still falls in line. Even as a Christian writer, as a Christian author, people need to see Linda. People need to hear Linda. And, some of that's on video. Some of that is audio. Some of those are graphics. People need to know who Linda is, right? And so they're building and they're connecting with Linda. And then really, because of those relationships and those connections, whether it's a novel, an ebook, whether it's fiction, nonfiction, a devotional, a course, whatever you can dream up with God, whatever you can dream up with God, those things become signature offers, not from the novel, but from the Linda. Does that make sense? You're the brand. You're the people that, you're the one people are going to connect with. Mm-hmm. So if you focus on, and this is not just like self-promotion, this is being the steward of being the voice that's out there and getting your message out. And although inside of Linda, there's multiple messages and there's multiple problems that you solve, and there will be multiple offers, it all comes back to Linda. It all comes back to Linda's marketing It all comes back to the relationships that she builds. And I promise you that people will take action on your offers because you took the time to build those relationships. So don't worry. Don't worry about if your fiction and nonfiction are like polar opposite. Don't worry if, and I'm speaking hypothetical because I don't know, but if your digital course and your mentoring group are completely polar opposite, that's totally okay. People will connect with you. And then as that fiction is released, as that nonfiction is released, as that ebook is released, as that, potential course, whatever those things are, they will connect in relevance because of the relationship they built with you.
Yes.
All right.
Okay.
And based on that, I should just splinter and curate one of them.
For now, yep. And you're splintering and curating whatever's going to be released next, right? What's coming next? Because if you are splintering and curating something that's not going to be released for another 6 months or another 12 months, but you've got something else that's coming in the next 2, 3, or 4 months, then it creates confusion, especially if you're just getting started. So for example, it would be really confusing if I started offering, I've got some good friends that I help them build their marketing, Greg and Julie Gorman, and we help them get this thing kicked off, Married for a Purpose. It would be really strange if all of a sudden people started seeing me on social media as this Married for a Purpose guy. Now, people know that, me and my wife, we're super close. We're super tight. We've been married for 27 years. We got 43 children. We've got we're really blessed. We're happy. We love each other. We love Jesus. And they know that part about us, but maybe not the 43 children. But if all of a sudden I just started talking about being married for a purpose, and I started creating offers, and I started doing things and talking about that, it would confuse the people that have been listening to me for the last couple of years about unlocking their book and getting clarity on their message and things of that nature. And while maybe in a year or two, I might do something in regards to that, it would be actually a little bit strange and a little bit confusing if all of a sudden I launched a group, launched a course, launched mentoring sessions, or launched something that was about being married for a purpose. Does that make sense? So it confuses the people that have been watching. But if I'm building those relationships, and then I know something else that's not just about unlocking your book is coming, I would curate and splinter that content, 2, 3, 4 months maybe in advance. But I would not want to put the cart before the horse. I would want to make sure whatever I'm marketing, whatever I'm splintering, whatever I'm putting out there is in relevance to what my offer is going to be. Because if what I'm splintering and what I'm putting out there is not in relevance, it confuses people and people get lost. And we don't want to create an environment in our marketing where people have to think real hard about it.
So let's say, for instance, hypothetically, I put an ebook out there. I could turn that in pretty much any time. How long after the ebook is out do you continue to curate that book? You understand what I'm saying?
To curate the ebook?
Before you start the book, before you move on to the next one, how much do you squeeze out of it after the fact before you move on to tease on a new project?
Well, that's really, to be honest with you, that's kind of a personal thing. I like to put things in quarterly quadrants in most cases, where you focus on something for about 3 months. And the reason why is because even when you're just marketing and repositioning the same content, eventually it just kind of looks the same, sounds the same, feels the same. And so people are looking for something kind of new and kind of fresh. So there's not a real hard line on that. I feel like it's wisdom to curate your content and splinter your content for where you're taking people, whatever that is. But as far as like how long do you do that, And to be honest with you, with the ebook, I mean, that's going to be pretty automated. You're going to build leads and then send people to whatever that offer is. So the idea with the ebook is you're going to put it up on the page. You're going to be directing people to download that ebook through whether it be ads or posts or Facebook Live. And you do that and you're directing that. You can actually automate that process. And so they put in their name, they put in their email, they download the ebook. And then after a while, there should be another automation that's where they can go and purchase that offer, so it becomes something evergreen, which you learn in micro lessons. You haven't gotten that far in the process. That's a micro lesson on automating those what we call like an evergreen funnel or something like that. Because once you have an offer, you don't want to just like take it off the shelf, because somebody might really resonate with something. So you want to keep it, but then you want to automate that process, as somebody might see a post, they might see an ad, or they might see a video. So I think each writer and each author kind of has to decide for themselves. And I believe in planning it out. Like, plan out your whole year. Like, what am I going to write this year? What am I going to write in 2020? What am I going to write in 2021? Do your best to kind of framework that and have your work mapped out. I like 3 months where you have a focus, and then you don't go cold turkey either. You kind of slowly transition.
Good advice.
Okay.
Thank you.
Can I help you, Linda?
Thank you. I appreciate you guys so much. Thanks.
Yes. Thank you, Linda. We appreciate you coming on.
Thanks. Talk soon.
All right. Take care. All righty. Praise the Lord. Okay, fantastico. Hey, Militia, good to have you. Thanks to everybody for being here. Thank you, Anne Marie, for being here. So we got Peter coming on here in just a couple of minutes. So let's talk just a little bit about that, about those questions. That's that's challenging to navigate for everyone, right? Yeah. It's and there is no cookie cutter. You want a framework and you want a roadmap on, like, because her question is like, how long do I do this? And then how long do I do this? And you should have some framework. You should have some idea, because if you don't, then you feel exhausted all the time. You feel like you never get a break. You're just always focused on this. And they're like, oh, I got to go do this. Then I got to do this. And that's a really, really lame way to be a writer and to be an author and to be a messenger, because you constantly feel like you've got more things to do and you're not getting things done. So if you're trying to figure out how long do I splinter and how long do I curate, I think it's better to start with the end in mind. So it's like if I want to, from my house, I want to drive down to South Texas and go to the coast, I've got a general idea how to get there from my house. It's going to take me about 4 hours to get down to South Texas and get to the coast and get to the ocean. I can just drive south, but I'm going to put in the GPS of exactly where I'm going to go, and it's going to help me get there faster. I don't have to worry as much. And then if I want to stop along the way, you have to think that way. You want to have some kind of a destination in mind. And so that's how you do your marketing. Like, what do I want to do? Where do I want to go? What do I want to build? Start with the end in mind and then work your way backwards. And that's not just writing. That's really anything, including unlocking your writing.
Yeah, that's it's so important to, as an author, to be given those tools and in those tips so that we can apply that, because we need that. And as a creative, I get you have all these ideas and things that you want to do, and it can be tempting to, especially when you're hearing from the Lord, you can be tempted to want to, is this a now word? And almost want to jump on everything now. But I have found that focusing is the key, and it's important. And then and I still get ahas and ideas for next books, but I have this rolling list of books and then, next book, next book, and I just have all these ideas, and I have topics and themes, and then I'll get a little blurb or a quote that I know I want to put in there. And I keep all that, I steward all that.
Yeah.
So And then, you're not losing it anywhere.
Right. That's right. Yeah. And there is something to be said about the power of your focus. Like, we hear it all the time, but there is real, I mean, you are moving the needle as a writer, as an author, as a speaker, as a messenger when you focus. And I get it as a creative. I get it if you're prophetically bent, if you're a dreamer and you write like that. I get it that it's easy to have lots of ideas, but the reality is that you're not actually wired to multitask.
Yeah.
It actually is. It's really kind of a false expectation. It's a false pressure to be able to be a good multitasker. Good multitaskers really are not that great. It's really not a great gift. And now I can multitask. Other people can multitask. It's fine if there's seasons and times and part of your day when you have to multitask. But when you focus, you're exhausting that thing. When you focus on that blog, when you focus on that ebook, you focus on character development, and you discipline and you force yourself to focus on the task, focus on the writing, focus on the story development that is ahead of you. And you are going to have other dreams. You're going to have other ideas. You're going to have other things that you want to do and develop. Don't let the shiny nickel syndrome become something that actually becomes a distraction that gets you off of the task. And I know it sounds like a broken record, but if you can discover in your lifetime the 2 to 3 things that you do really, really well, and let everything else fall to the side and let somebody else do that. But find the 2 to 3 things you do really, really well. You live a more fulfilled life. And the same way with your writing, the same way as an author, the same way with your book. That's why some people, they're like, oh, I've been working on this book for 5 years. Why? Why have you been working on that book for 5 years? Because of focus. Why have you been trying to build that business for 8 years? Because of focus. Why are you in that? Why are you telling me you're stuck? And a lot of times it really is because the power of focus. And that is something that God will give you. It's called, it actually, he says, if anyone lacks wisdom, let him ask. And to be able to focus, it requires wisdom. It takes wisdom, and it's a smart thing to do. It's a wise thing to do, to focus on that book, that thing that's in front of you, and exhaust it. And don't let the squirrels and the nickels get you distracted, because here's what'll happen is a couple of weeks, couple months, maybe years, all of a sudden you find yourself, you went around that mountain and you're right back where you started, but you learned a lot. You don't have to do it that way. You can stay on task with the power of focus. It's good.
Yep. It's good.
It's good. It's good. Well, we've got Peter coming on. So Peter's going to come on. He's got his 10-minute block with us. We're going to go to him in just a minute. So we're going to take a really short break. Stay tuned. Let us know where you're watching from. Where are you joining? What side of the planet? What side of the cosmos you are on? We'd love to hear from you. Let's get started. Let's get ready. Peter's coming on. Rock and roll. Well, hello, Peter. How are you? So good to have you. Thanks for being on with us, sir.
Wonderful. It's a pleasure. It is a pleasure.
Good.
Hi, Peter.
Yes. Hello, Chrissy. Chrissy, what you gave forth a couple of nights ago on the talents. Awesome.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you. That was a Facebook Live. Yes. Thank you.
It was good.
It's good to see you on here with us today. We're excited to hear what question you want to ask us.
Are you asking a question or are you pitching a book?
I got a question for you.
Okay.
And it's neat because I'm just going to follow the conversation that you just had. Made lots of sense. I have 3 books. two have been published. The third one is being published. First book written 5 years ago. It's a kid's cookbook. The second one was a book on the joy of divorce. I've had to change that title. And I believe that's what I sent to you, changing the title, but to reproduce it. And then the book that I'm writing on now, which is The Present of the Presence. One question, though, I believe you've answered it. You can go in more in depth if you desire. It is not a good idea to push all three of them out at once. No.
Negative.
Right.
Negative.
It's not a good idea for you. It's not a good idea for your publisher, and it's definitely not a good idea if you want to create what we call big levers in your business. Yeah. And so if you're a writer, you're an author, you are a business owner. And so what happens is you lose leverage when you're doing too many things at once.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I'm looking for a suggestion then. What book should I put out first?
So,
and I believe, go ahead.
No, Peter, I'm sorry. Go ahead. There's a little lag, but you go ahead.
And I'm sure that question is going to come back to me and say, well, what is your passion right now?
Well, here's what I would say is it's an easy answer. But it's twofold. And one comes from the Spirit of the Lord, and the other one comes from the brain that the Spirit of the Lord gave men. The first one is, what is the book that God is speaking to you about the most? And then the second part, the double-edged blade of this is, what are you getting the most response out of? So if you're sharing content on Facebook Live or posts or whatever it is that you're doing on social media, out of those three books, what are you getting the most response where people are interested in it, they're engaging it? I mean, they're not giving their credit card to purchase the book, but they're engaging with the content. So number one, the answer is, what is God speaking to you about the most? And then you don't second guess, you don't worry about it, you don't wonder, you just take the other two, you put them on the shelf, you exhaust it, you finish it, you build it. Like, as a writer, author, you're a builder. I'm going to build this. And then when you're done with that, then you're going to go move and do the exact same process. But you can also help discern your process by what is it that people are engaging the most with to make your decision. And if they're polar opposite, like people are really engaging with book number 3, but God's really speaking to me about that, you go with God.
Go with God. Okay, good. Well, sure, though. Yeah, the one thing that interests me the most is the book that I'm producing now, The Present of the Presence. And it's because that's where I've been for the last 4 months.
Yeah.
The other book, The Joy of Divorce, it needs to get out there, but it's a year-old book. Getting more.
Thinking about right now, those are the ones that are kind of like which way?
No. In fact, I took off the Joy of the Divorce because I felt it was too big. It was too many facets going out. The first book that I wrote, the kids' cookbook, that's always alive. Simply because you're talking about kids and you're talking about cooking. Hello.
Yeah.
So that's always there. But the presence, that's a present culture.
Yeah.
Let's use that word.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're all hungry for that right now. Are you getting on social media with that message and sharing that in lives and different things and getting responses?
Not as much as I should, Chrissy. To be honest with you.
Well, maybe that.
Hello.
There you go. Homework.
Thank you.
That is so important. We need that right now. We need to be reminded about being present in the presence and the treasure trove that's available to us. And, if that's in your heart to do, then definitely do it. I mean, I love the idea of testing out your message by doing social media. You can test out, you can hear from the Lord, and you can get on there, you can test it out, and you can see the responses that's coming in. And then there may be something you say as well within that people really jump on as revelatory, and you go, wow, maybe I can even hone this in, and I can really have this common theme throughout this big message that's really honed in on this idea or revelation that might be common to you, but it's revelatory to others, So I love that idea of getting on social media and kind of testing out your message and getting it out there and running with it.
I think the Facebooking Live that I've done with it has definitely caught the wows. Which, this is the culture that we're living in now. So it's going to catch the wow. So ride that wave, as us surfers would say.
Yeah. Hey, as long as you're wowed by it, that's what matters the most too. Like between you and the Lord, God, you've wowed me with this, and I'm going to steward that wow, and I'm going to get myself out there with this and run with it unapologetically, because this is what God's given me. And then with that comes this confidence and this authority in Christ on what you carry, and you carry it. You really carry it, and you release it.
Yeah.
Okay.
The other thing that I would add, Peter, as coming from the publisher perspective, as part of the job of the publisher is to help the writer and help the author navigate some of these questions and some of these challenges. So as a publisher, I would be not drawing a hard line, because our model is not like that. And you always want to listen to, hear, follow the Lord's voice, be spirit-led, voice-directed first. From a publisher perspective, as you're building this and you're starting this journey, whether you've got one book or 3 books, I would, so first being sensitive to the Lord, being sensitive to his voice and his leading, but also just the genre and the categories of those books, they're very different. And the ones particular to your story about divorce, probably, not probably, it resonates with a lot of people, because it's not something that we like to talk about, especially in the church. It's not something that we like to converse about. It's kind of like a no-no kind of a thing. And so we need to be able to have not just voices, but the right voices. But as a publisher, my recommendation to a starting out writer, maybe not writer, but author, published author, was to not start with that big one, because that is a big undertaking. And to be able to unpack the actionable, not just the story part, but helping people actually solve that problem with the Lord. So using something as a publisher, using something that you can first build relationship with people, first get that connection and build that trust, because it's kind of like if somebody was going to teach on the book of Revelation, or the imminent return of Jesus, or something big, or do we have to be water baptized? It's
start with John.
Right. You want to start with something that can lead into those conversations. So as a publisher, that would be my recommendation. I'm not the Lord. It's not ultimately my decision. If God says you put that out there, you obey the voice of the Lord. You obey his direction. But to start, build the relationship so you can lead people into something that is big, aggressive, and intense for people.
Okay. Good. Yeah. The whole basis of the divorce is identity. And identity was very strong a year and a half ago. Now we've gotten over that. We're into a whole nother era of the presence. Yeah, that's good.
A presence. Yeah. Amen.
Yeah. Good.
Yeah, good stuff. Thank you.
Yeah. Very much so. Very much so.
Well, we appreciate you.
Now to get back in, excuse me, Chrissy, to get back into logistics as what? Do I just write to y'all and say, here, this is the book now, not the divorce book? Because I believe that's the one that I
Submitted.
submitted. Yes, sir.
Yeah, just send an email to the concierge, publishing at unlockingyourbook.com, and let them know. And then what will happen is they'll have a conversation with the internal team and the publishing team, and they'll work out those details and those kinks. And you can just they can just, we can save that, we can put it on file and keep it inside your account, and you can just resubmit something else. Resubmit the other one.
Okay, good.
Yep.
Super.
All right.
Thank you.
Well, thank you.
You're awesome.
Yeah, thank you so
Thank
much
you.
for coming on today.
Yep, shall do.
All right. Love you, man. Bless you.
Love
Bless
it.
you.
See you, man. Okay, bye-bye.
Oh my gosh, these are great questions. This is good stuff. It's good to we need to talk about hard stuff. We need to deal with those types of things, those types of questions, and my encouragement for you writers and authors out there, don't be afraid to tackle those hard things. A lot of times we don't want to tackle or talk about those hard things because we're afraid of how people will treat us or mistreat us, what people will say. And, unfortunately, I'm going to be super transparent. Sometimes there are things that we just don't need to be writing about, right? There's just some things out there, some stories that don't need to be told, that things that don't need to be exposed, things that don't need to be shared. But there are some things that we shy away from that are a real practical part of everyone's life that a lot of people, I don't know very many people that in some way, some capacity, somehow have not been affected or influenced by something like divorce or other things that we're not going to take time, but there are real problems out there. Right? It's not just unicorns and rainbows and four-leaf clovers, right? I wish it was, right? I wish everything was about little puppies and, for Christmas and puppies are forever, but that's not reality. There are real problems, and that's part of our mandate as writers and authors and messengers is to take the message that the Lord puts in. But you have to be we have to be pretty mature, sharp. We have to be broken. Like if you have a message and I'll say it like this. The harder the message is for other people to hear because it's just hard, probably the longer the process God will put you through. Yeah. Because if the message is hard, if the message it can't be a dull butter knife. It can't be a chainsaw that makes a mess. It has to be a sharp, double-edged sword that can cut and divide and separate for people. For too long, we've allowed the right message, but the wrong method and the wrong time and sometimes the wrong person. So when you have a message like that, don't be quick to put that message out there. Let the Lord take you through the forging. The unfortunately, it's necessary, but not really fun, like the fire. Yeah. We need that because that's what brings the anointing. And so you can have the right message and the right person and the wrong time, and it not have the anointing that actually shifts and actually helps people.
Yeah, that fire refines. Yeah, and that's what we need in order to deliver the message, whatever that message is. We must be refined. It's like we must be refined. And I always say, if you feel like you have a little bit of an edge on the subject, maybe it's too soon. If you're coming at it with an edge, like there's probably some more refining. And I can only say that because I've experienced it. And often we can get into our flesh can come at it in this like overarching kind of, look what I know. I'm not saying this about anybody. I'm just feeling to share this, and so we have to keep our flesh in check. Like, it's not about me knowing so much. It's about me having been totally broken down through this process and refined. Because you said that about brokenness. And that is so important, because then we can come at any subject out of a place of humility of, let me help you journey this. Yeah. I've journeyed this and I'm still journeying it to some degree. So let's journey this together. And I love that. I love to talk to writers and help them get that kind of we language. We are, whether you literally use that in your writing or not, it feels that way. We're linking arms and we are journeying this together. And you still have authority in that message because you've walked through it, and because you've gotten to that place of being so refined, pressed down, shaken together, running over, that crushing, that you can navigate it with somebody now and go, let me get in there with you, and we are going to walk this thing out, and let me share some of my story. We can do this. So I like books like that myself. I like preaching like that. I like, any of that, where it's that acknowledgement that I might be the messenger in this case, but so are you. You're a messenger in your own life, and it's that equal playing ground field where we're together,
Absolutely, Christy. That's so good. And the refiner's fire is what, and the anointing and the authority is the difference between knowledge and understanding, because they are not the same fruit. They are not the same thing. It's not the same facet. It's not the same atmosphere. It's not the same culture. A lot of people can have knowledge about something, or even have knowledge to do or not to do something, but to actually understand why, to actually understand how, to actually understand when. So you don't open your mouth or pen because you have knowledge. You open your mouth and you pen because you have understanding, because knowledge isn't enough. Knowledge is not enough to help people move from where they're at to where they could be, or where the Lord wants them to go, where you're taking them. You have to be able to have an understanding, not just know about it, but an understanding on the why and the how and the when. This is really, really important. And the difference is that fire. The difference is being broken and humble and submitted to the Lord. Because you can write a Christian book, but is that what you want to do? Do you want to write a Christian book? Do you just want a book on the bookshelf? Do you just want to sell 10,000 Christian books? That's not your goal. It's not God's goal. God's goal isn't for you to write a Christian book. God's goal is for you to partner with heaven and to pen with him that will bring real lasting impact, something that will last longer than you, that will take people from where they're at to where God wants them, and you don't get the credit. So even if they bought your book, that you don't get the credit. You don't even get the acknowledgement. You don't even get the hoorah or the attaboy or the attagirl. That's the kind of books that God is releasing right now in the earth. He's removing the platform. He's removing the platform because we're taking our alabaster box and we're laying it all down at his feet. We're maybe, hopefully, finally realizing I'm never going to be as big as Jesus.
Yeah. Yeah. And I was just having this thought. And you're going to, what'd you say?
And we shouldn't be trying.
Yeah. 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 I was just having this thought while you were talking about the fire. And I thought, man, yeah, we need to stay in the fire long enough until we start to see Jesus in there with us. That's when you've been in the fire enough and he's really refining you, because all of a sudden it's not you getting out of the fire yourself, or it's not, look what I did or what I learned through hard times or trials. It's, look what the Lord has done. Look what he taught me. Look, my hands were unbound, because I'm thinking of the guys in the fiery furnace. And it says that they were in the fire and their hands were unbound, and there was someone else in there with them. And obviously that was Jesus. So it wasn't them that survived the fire. It wasn't them that even got their hands unbound,
Mhm.
it was always Jesus, and it's always Jesus in our life. And then we come out of the fire, and it isn't, look what I overcame, look what I went through and figured out. It's, look what the Lord did, look what he brought me through. Jesus was with me every second, and I come out and I am, a messenger for his name. And this is what that looks like with this book, this story, Yeah.
You said it. That's how you know you have shifted from the knowledge about something, and even the knowledge that has given you the ability to write something or speak about something. How you know that you have shifted from knowledge to understanding is that you no longer need the credit. You no longer require the applause. That is the most liberating place to be. Is to be in a place where the fear of man, the rejection of man has no hold on you. Now, I'm not talking about the falseness of that. There is that, well, I don't care what people think, but you're saying that because you care so much what people think. But to be in a place where, like Jesus said, the prince of this world, the prince of the earth, he's coming and he has no place in me. To be in that kind of place where you can speak what God is speaking, and you can write what God is writing, and you can minister what God is ministering, and you just don't need the applause or the approval. That was Jesus. And he gave us, I don't have my Bible with me, but in Hebrews chapter 1, it talks about, I think it's verse 2 or 3, where it says Jesus was the exact mirrored, splendored representation of the Father. And Jesus said, if you've seen me, you've seen the Father. And he has given us that opportunity. If Jesus can walk on this earth and there's no place the enemy has in him, we can have that too. We can live in that kind of victory. We're still fallible. We're still human. We still have to deal with life. But man, I would make that more about your life message, where the enemy has no place in me, so that I can write and I can speak with no fear of man, meaning I don't need affirmation. I don't even need the credit. It's not what we're living for. We're not living for the credit. We're living for the relationship that we get with him.
Mm-hmm.
What a beautiful story. What a beautiful story of your life that you're writing right now, that you wrote and that you spoke out of intimacy. You didn't do it for any other reason. You didn't do it for the accolades. You didn't do it for the affirmation. You didn't even do it for the book sales. Man, go sell a bunch of books. I hope you sell thousands of books, and I hope you make a bunch of money, and I hope it blesses you, and I hope it blesses your family. But that's the difference between the knowledge of what you're writing and understanding it.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, because if Jesus is in the fire, why would I want to be anywhere else?
Why would I want to be anywhere else?
I want to be where he is. And then when he says we're moving out, we move out. But we follow Jesus around here, right? Messengers, right? Unlocking your book peeps. We follow Jesus, whether in the fire or in the rain or in the cave or in the front of the line. We just follow Jesus. That's where our gaze is fixed. And we go where he wants us to go. Jesus did the Father's business, and we're doing his business. We're following Jesus, following the Lamb. Yeah.
I'm following Jesus. I'm thinking about the donut man. All right. Well, praise the Lord. Praise the Lord Jesus. This has been awesome. This has been fun. It was so great to have Linda and Peter on today. It was great to have all of you. Thank you, everyone that got to join us today. It's been such an awesome time. We've enjoyed our little bit of an hour. I apologize for Chrissy's long-windedness. Sometimes in the beginning, she comes in, she's a little, I don't know. She just kind of, squirrels and nickels and gets really, really distracted and, isn't.
Sorry. I'm so sorry about that. I am just really.
It's so good. It's so awesome. Well, hey, we want to invite you back. We'll be here tomorrow, same bat time, same bat channel. We will be here mañana for Unlocking You Live. I hope you can join us. Don't we hope that they can join us tomorrow?
We hope that you can join us tomorrow.
We hope that you can join us. Until tomorrow, we're following Jesus.